Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
Who to be a referee? Get 'em off, get 'em up. With a whistle and a little dried up pea. It's no protection for all the things they throw. Toilet rolls and bottles every time I blow.
Ahoy hoy and welcome to episode 112 of There's Still Time, the AFTN podcast. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Steve Pander.
And I'm Jay Duke.
And we're recording this podcast from Thunderbird Stadium, right in the middle of the Whitecaps dominating RSL Monarchs, the real Monarchs, none of these artificial Monarchs. It's 2-0 at the moment, we're into the second half, and we thought, nothing else to do, let's record a podcast.
You've just jinxed it now, too. You've just jinxed it.
So, before we start talking about the big Dumbo in the room of the referee in last night's game, let's just do a very, very quick analysis of how we thought the game played out. I think the general feeling is it was a bit harsh that the Whitecaps lost, but did they deserve a draw, or did they deserve to come away from that with 3 points?
I'm thinking probably draw. They had some chances. I think Colorado had chances. Both goalkeepers had turns making big saves. But overall, they really didn't provide much. It was a few chances here and there, but it wasn't the dominating performance you expect to see against a Colorado Rapids team.
Yeah, I think that's the recipe for what the Whitecaps want to do on the road. And, if you're really honest, that's as good or better than they played in the wins that they've had on the road already. And that's going to be the focus going forward, is that they're going to want to just try and get those 3 or 4 chances and be really strong defensively, which they were. And, it isn't pretty, but that's how they want to win on the road. And I think it was a decent approach, especially being tired and having those 3 games in a week. So they were hard done by, and probably if it wasn't for the ref, would have had a win, not a loss. And
clearly, once again, in the Whitecaps history, the weather played a major factor, where there was delays, showers, wet pitches, and it was just a miserable night overall.
Yeah, Christian Teixeira must be wondering what he's come to. He's been snowstorms, thunderstorms. He must be like, what the hell happens in North America? I don't understand this.
Wait till the earthquakes happen.
Oh, I think we play them later in the season.
That's right, I forgot about that.
We have to look at the talking point of the referee. I hate making referees talking points in matches, especially because the way that the Whitecaps have been playing, it kind of covers up some of the other issues that people aren't maybe talking about, how poorly certain aspects of the team are playing, how poorly certain players are playing, and all the focus is on the referee. So let's get that out of the way first. We'll start with the disallowed goal. Pedro Morales' free kick, beautiful free kick. What we've been wanting him to do for weeks and weeks now, finally does it, top corner, and it's called off, phantom call. Even the Colorado Rapids commentary team, when you watch that back, had no idea what the foul was given for.
Yeah, there were, if you look at Twitter all over the place, it was like people who normally troll the Whitecaps were asking what call that was. There was a slight lean on by Cobb, but who doesn't do that in a battle along the wall? It definitely wasn't worth calling off a goal.
The Whitecaps weren't good enough, but the reality is that these games are tight, especially away. It's a league of parity. You hear that all the time, and games are going to be tight, even against the worst teams in the West. So it's tough when you not only have to fight the elements and the travel and the home fans and then the 11 other players on the pitch, but also go against a referee who's just clueless and still hasn't figured out what to foul in the game.
We have to talk about Colorado's goal
Okay.
and the foul on Gershon Kofi in the build-up to that.
In the
It was a
build-up, right.
clear foul, not given, and then a beautiful finish. And you can't fault the way that they played. I mean, Real Salt Lake played to the whistle. The Whitecaps were kind of appealing for a free kick. Beautiful volleyed finish that they gave Ousted no chance. But it should just never have counted. It should have been called back. It should have been a free kick for the Whitecaps.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it was mentioned on the broadcast as well, on the local broadcast, is that Kofi's not the type of guy who will go down and writhe around in pain just to try and sell a call. It was an obvious foul, and in a game where the official was calling these little slight tugs, and then the brush by Kaw that negated the goal was such a slight touch, and it's like how is this absolutely just runs right through Kofi, and that one's not a foul. It's super frustrating as a fan, and it's not even about whether or not he made a mistake. I'm not accusing the guy of clearly he has some sort of integrity issues if he's being charged with fraud, but I'm not saying that the match was fixed or anything. It's clearly just an ineptitude thing. But the problem is, if you're the league and if you're pro refs, it's the appearance, it's the optics of the whole thing. You've got a guy who's been charged with defrauding on insurance claims, and now he's making these boneheaded decisions. It just opens yourself up. It's not a thing that you need when the league is looking to solidify its officiating.
And you're talking about the optics and everything. You can look at the highlight package. MLS does not include in the build-up. They don't include the Kofi foul or when Kofi got fouled, and they don't include the Morales non-goal at all in the highlights. So you're talking about optics. It's not showing up there either.
No, but they did run my article, which was Robbo pretty critical of the referee afterwards, and alluded to it in the headline and everything. So it's not that they're covering it up in that regard.
There's no video evidence. It's all hearsay.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be an instant replay.
Yeah, I'm sure Simon Borg will have a field day over this.
The thing is, in leagues all over the world, fans, pundits, everyone, players, managers, they're critical of referees, and it is a tough job. I wouldn't want to be a referee. It's not like in days of old where a referee made a decision, but now it's like you've got players round them for the slightest thing. You've got TV people analysing angle after angle after angle. Everything they does is heavily scrutinised. It makes you want to know who would actually want to be a referee. That said, because they're under such analysis and such scrutiny, MLS need to get the top officials that they can. They've got the pro thing, and it's not working week after week. Not just in the Whitecaps games, but in games across the league. The big talking point is mistakes that referees are making. You're never going to stamp out referee making mistakes. It's human nature to make mistakes. But when it's so many, and it's so many game-changing and game-costing decisions, it just can't go on. Something has to get done about it.
It's a consistency thing. Like, I'm okay if you want to call it super strict and every little touch or tug is a foul, fine. If you want to let guys clatter into each other and not call anything, fine. But call it one way or the other so that at least the players and the fans and everybody can get used to it, so they know, hey, that the same thing happened the other way and it went that way. At least it's an even playing field for the teams. And so now you've got a situation where nobody knows what a foul is. They don't in game, never mind between game to game, between officials. So it's always going to be a struggle for people. And you're right. They've had a couple years at this now, and pro just still seems to not be getting it right. And even on some of their reviews, it's like the whole thing where it has to be unanimous to be decisions be overturned, and there's some weird decisions that have been appealed and they haven't been overturned because somebody wants to side with the ref or whatever. It's not working right now.
Robbo's comments after the game, obviously he has to watch what he says because he gets fined, but I think it was a case last night that he didn't care, because both on the radio and in the media scrum he had to go at the ref. And one of the things he said was the fact that the Whitecaps committed a certain number of fouls and got more bookings than Colorado, who didn't commit as many, who committed more fouls but but got less bookings.
Yeah, and it's weird because like I do think the Whitecaps have deserved a lot of the cards and that maybe that reputation that they've gotten, but there's no way, like, how does Alonso or Chara or Aurelian Collin not have the same reputation? I don't think what the Whitecaps are doing are any different than any of the other clubs around the MLS. Or what about the San Jose in the last when they were all the old Bash brothers and stuff, and they were still getting penalty calls despite having this reputation as a rough and tumble, lots of red cards, flying in elbows high. And I don't think the Whitecaps are like that. I think they're a very aggressive team, and they like to press, which will cause a lot of fouls and will cause a lot of yellow cards for late tackles and stuff. And do I think that, Teixeira and Rivero both go down very easily, but in the game against Seattle, there was two calls that I would have called 50-50 penalty calls. One, Rivero got his foot stamped, and the other one, there was kind of a trailing leg. Neither of them were, I think, stone cold penalties. But you have to say that there's been a lot of that. And is he going down easily? Yeah, he's going down easily. And I think that's something they should cut out. But it's no different than anybody else in the league. So to have a reputation like that and to have everything swing in one direction is a little bit crazy.
Well, I think that should probably be all we talk about for referees. We could definitely have a 2-hour show just talking about them and the mistakes that they've been making this year. But I think we can all agree things have to change. And something else that needs to change, Whitecaps tactics, Whitecaps formation, because what they're doing just now, week after week, game after game, is just clearly, simply not working.
I wish they would. I agree with you. I wish they would change up the formations. They do it once in a while. They did it against that RSL game, but I do think they need to do a little bit more. Like against the game against Colorado, who has struggled. Yeah, and they need to put on two strikers when they have a chance. When you can take advantage of a team that's not maybe as strong in the attack, and they don't need that many defenders there.
I see that the Whitecaps are you see it here today out in the USL, where they're trying to push a club system with this 4-2-3-1. I'm all for that, but there are times where you need to change the approach. And I get it if you're tied or if you're ahead by a goal. Keep pushing with like for like substitutions are fine, but when you're behind and you're pushing for a goal, you're down 4 minutes into the game at home against Seattle, and you've got nothing going in the first half. You need to change something in the second half, and it's easy.
Go to a 3-man back.
Either a 3-man back, or it's as easy as inverting that midfield and taking out one of your holders and putting on another attacker. Yeah. And the game would have been perfect for that, to bring on Morales and take one of those midfielders off, and I think it should have been done earlier, and then you could have had Rosales and Morales as two attacking midfielders, or put on Earnshaw and have him playing off the shoulder of Rivero, because as you saw towards the end of the game with when Waston moved up front, it started causing problems, and there was problems for defenders figuring out who to mark, and I think that we need to be a little bit quicker and more dynamic in approach when it comes to deciding on something different, because like for like substitutions and just hoping something's going to change isn't the answer.
More fluidity. I think we need more fluidity.
Well, it's the thing about if something isn't working and you try the same thing over and over and over, like only a fool is going to expect a different result. And what the Whitecaps seem to do is they've got the fast guys on. If they've not been breaking down the opponents, they make a substitution like last night. They bring Manny off. They put another fast guy on in Matix. It wasn't working to start with. That wasn't going to make any difference. Now, Robbo's hands were tied a little bit last night, and Earnshaw picked up a calf injury. Hurtado's got a hip injury.
Which is a benefit.
Yeah, so both of them had to miss out. But we've seen when the players are fit that he sticks with such rigidness to a 4-2-3-1. It does have a place, and it has a place in away games. It doesn't have a place then when you're chasing a game. You have to switch it up. The formation that I would like to see just in general, and it's the formation that I've always favoured, is a 3-5-2. And I do think the Whitecaps have got the players that can do that. We've got three very talented centre-backs that could play in that. We've got Harvey that can, and Sam Adekugbe that can kind of play a left wing, left midfield role and tear up and down that wing. So the personnel was there to do that. If he doesn't want to go 3-5-2, 4-4-2, 4-4-1-1. The options are there.
Just for the last 10 minutes of a game.
Yeah, but he seems so loath to move from that.
Yeah, it's a puzzle, and hopefully maybe he will adjust. How about some players that did impress yesterday in the game? Let's talk about some of the players. Who did you think did well?
Gabby Torres, but I'm guessing you're meaning Whitecaps.
I'm thinking Whitecaps.
Well, for me, David Ousted was the man of the match with the saves that he pulled off.
Yeah.
Rivero got the radio guy's man of the match, and he did have a good first half, but again, he was like an island out there. He was just left so isolated.
Yeah, I agree with Ousted as well. I also think that despite conceding a goal, I mean, there is nothing that the center backs really could have done. They couldn't have expected the back heel flick to first time volley past Ousted. I thought both Waston and Kaw did relatively well. But yeah, Ousted's my man of the match. I actually think Rosales did relatively well as well. And I think he could be an answer for us going forward. I wonder if Morales is the true number 10 that we need. The guy to play in that advanced. He seems way more comfortable when he's got lots of space in front of him. And so I'm wondering if maybe Rosales in that position, that number 10, could be an answer longer term, and to have him and like I said, inverting that triangle, having maybe Rosales and Morales both as attacking central midfielders.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you do that kind of inverted formation, Laba really plays well when he's this sole guy by himself. Sometimes he overextends himself when he knows he's got an extra person. Might play more in place instead of roaming around too much.
Yeah, I like Rosales in the number 10 role. I thought Harvey had a good game as well. Players, though, that we kind of need to look at that are just not stepping up at the moment. Darren Mattocks is patchy. He has a couple of good games and then he has a big run where he's not doing well. Kakuta Mane, for me, is not starting material right now.
He's dropped off quite a bit right now.
He's just having trouble getting past his man, and he's not. He said he's practicing it hard in training to bring something different to his game, but he's just not showing it in the actual games. He just runs at the guy. He's getting beat far too often. Yes, against Seattle, he was double-teamed a lot and taken out of the game. He knows when that happens that he has to play neat 1-2s, and he said that himself, but he's just not doing it. Some other players for me as well, like Stephen Beitashour, still disappointing me. I'm not liking what he's doing. Pedro's patchy, and Rivero's just getting no help at all. He's needing some help from the guys. He's been left to do far too much work.
So you talk about those players. Keon Sproul's actually got his first start, not as a sub coming off, which is usually done. His first start. What are your thoughts on his first performance as a Whitecap as a starter?
He did okay, got into some good positions, a bit disappointed as well. The chance he had in the second half, you have to get that on target. Yeah. You can't pull a shot like that wide. I know he's young, but that's no excuse. He's playing. It's like you have to expect these guys to at least hit the target.
And he obviously got irked a little bit, the goalkeepers a little bit, got in Clinton Irwin's face a little, got him riled up.
That was another one that was an abs. If you watch the real slow-mo, Irwin actually sticks his hand out to try and it looks like Keon's is pulling out of the tackle. He's like going in case there's a rebound. He's getting close, and then Irwin has one hand, his left hand on the ball, and he stretches out his right hand to try and clip his ankle. Then he rolls around and whines, and of course the ref buys it and gives him a yellow. Another terrible call, but that's a play I like on Keon's. I like that Keon's is going in hard for a possible rebound.
Now, one thing which surprised me after the game last night was, and I spoke to some other folk and they didn't see it, it must just have been the folk that were chatting to me on Twitter, there was a lot of hate for Pamadou Ka, and I think he was getting blamed because of the referee's stupid call in the goal. But I thought the last couple of games, Ka has done really well, and I know folk are wanting Rodriguez in, and Rodriguez is going to get in when he's fit again, and we'll come to that very shortly. But for me, Ka, I thought did well last night, and I don't really know why the hate was on for him.
There's a lot of residual anger towards him.
Not residual image.
Not residual image, residual anger. So
residual image can be quite angry.
He can be, but I think this was just a matter of just getting over it, and people are still holding on to what happened in the past.
So I mean, the guy that we expect to come in and take over from Ka just as soon as he's match fit again is Diego Rodriguez, and Diego played just over 60 minutes in the WFC2 game against Real Monarchs today. Looked good, looked dangerous in the box, had a chance, it just went narrowly wide, wasn't tested too much. But it's going to be good to see him get his chance and try and establish a partnership with Kendall Waston. Now, talking of Rodriguez, we've caught up with him after the match, so let's just hear a few thoughts from Diego now on getting back to fitness, what's like getting back on the pitch again, and what his hopes are for the rest of the season. So here's Diego Rodriguez. So Diego, just wanted to ask first of all, how are you feeling? You've just had about 60 odd minutes out there. How are you feeling after the injury?
Well, I feel very good. It was a good game. Well, there is a good group, and the win. We wanted to win, and I feel very comfortable in the field, and well, I am very happy.
And is it nice to get back out on the pitch again after all the injuries that you had?
Yeah. Was tough, like this moment that I passed, but now I feel very good and ready to play.
So how difficult has it been for you watching on the sidelines? I mean, you came over here, you've had a mixed kind of start to your MLS career. How are you feeling watching the games, and how do you think the team's played the last couple of weeks?
Well, I very enjoy the game. The MLS is a great league. Well, it was tough for me because I was in a good moment, and from the injury, and then came back. I make a step back, but now I feel very good. I think it's like the turf sometimes is like adapting, but now I'm very healthy, very good, and ready to play.
And from what you've seen from MLS so far, how do you judge the standard of the league compared to what you've been used to in Uruguay?
Well, it's a great league. There is a great stadium, great players, and I feel very comfortable here. It's a great, the club here is very great. All the fans, I feel very comfortable. It's different, but in the field it's like all the same. 11 versus 11, we'll do the best to win.
Now, the centre-back position, there is a lot of players looking to get minutes in the team. What are your hopes for the rest of the season? Are you hoping to break in as a regular starter now?
Well, it's like an internal competition that we have. We have our greatest player, but it's good for us because we're pushing up the levels. When the coach needs me, we will be ready. But I say I'm very comfortable here, very happy, and there is a great group.
And are you ready to play MLS minutes now, or do you maybe feel you need another couple of games out here?
Well, if the coach needs me, we're ready. I work every day. I have to make the things that all the medical staff that we care with me, all the guys that support the family, all that together with me. When the coach needs me, I will be ready.
So, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? Are you looking forward to seeing Rodriguez in there, or would you give Parker the chance to try and establish himself now beside Waston?
I don't have a problem with Parker. I think I personally, from the beginning of the season, I thought Rodriguez would be an excellent partner for Waston. I think he'd be good on the ball. Waston can deal with the physical nature of being in the back four. So I think they would play off well each other, and it kind of gives Kyle a break so we could save him for the rest of the season, because there are going to be times when Waston's not going to be available, getting that 5th yellow card, and we're going to need Kyle to be fresh for those games. So I think we need Rodriguez to step in as soon as possible.
Yeah, I've always liked Diego Rodriguez. I right from the start, I thought he was going to be your number 2. I do think that Ka has played better than expected, so which my expectations were not high to start this season at all. So, if you want to ease Diego in, that's all right, but especially after picking up that booking, Kendall's only one yellow away from getting a 1-match suspension, so he'll be in any manner. You're going to see Diego Rodriguez come in. I don't think Parker is quite ready to be your starting center back. I think he's played excellent when he's come in. I still think he needs a little bit of work, probably just to get that consistency going forward. I'm happy to have him in the squad, but it's going to be Diego Rodriguez.
Well, let's just hope anyway that the Whitecaps can turn their fortunes around pretty soon. We won't talk too much about this. Just a very quick thing from both of you. What are you hoping for against Salt Lake on Saturday? How important is it to get this win with a big road trip coming up? And what changes do you think might get made in the team?
Changes, I don't know. It's hard to say. There's so many changes that could possibly happen. I think they'll stick with the lineup that was getting them wins early in the season if everybody's healthy. They'll put together like Rosales, Morales, and Mane behind Rivero, with the same holding midfield and a similar back line that they've had that they have had so far.
Yeah, back five, especially with Sam Adekubi still on crutches. We saw him walking around here today. He's no closer, so your back five for sure is going to be the same. I expect Tybert to come back in for Kofi as with Laba. What I could see is that Teixeira getting the start over Mane. I don't know if he's done enough to continue to earn himself. I'm the biggest Mane fan. I think he has the most upside of anybody in the club. But he's just not progressing. He's still not making those decisions, those correct decisions on the ball. And he's getting marked out of the game. And I think Teixeira has earned it. And I could see Rosales on the right with Teixeira on the left. And Morales in the middle with Rivero up top.
And I think it's a vital game. I think it's almost like I know it's early in the season. It's almost a must-win because of the road trip.
Yeah, it's going to be such a tough slog here with the away. Although you'd say their performances have been even better on the road than at home at times. But yeah, they absolutely have to win this one at home. And not only that, everybody always kind of whines about the use of the word must win, but you almost have to say that it is not to get into the playoffs, but just to get on a bit of a roll. And their attack has to start producing some chances. They've got to put the ball in the back of the net, and I think an early goal is going to be critical, because if they're still playing tight and the life's getting choked out of the game a little bit towards in the second half, you're going to see a bit of a frustrated side, and I think it'll be tough for. I think Salt Lake will be happy to pack it in and go for 0-0 or a 1-1 game,
which has kind of been what everybody's tactics seem to be when they come to BC Place.
Yeah, and I agree with Jay with what the team's going to be, and I do feel it is kind of a must-win game from the momentum point of view, from the psychological point of view. Long trips, and you've got 2 games in a week where it's going to be Montreal first and then flying down to LA. I mean, they're killers. They have to get back on track. Let's hope they do it. I just have a funny feeling that they're not, and I see a draw as well. But I think that's it for this episode of the podcast. Hopefully you've been able to hear us over the noise. It's been a little bit hard for us to kind of hear talking, so hopefully you've been able to hear us. We thought we'd try something a little bit different. We're not going to know if it's worked till we get home and we start to edit it. But anyway, just before we wrap up, guys, just let everyone know where they can find you online.
I'm at J_Duke on Twitter and writing for AFTN.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
And I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. You can read all our stuff on AFTN, aftn.ca, and I'm also the Whitecaps beat reporter for MLSsoccer.com. So watch out for our next podcast that's coming up at the end of the week. It's our second part of our Canadian Women's National Team special. But until then, so thanks for listening. I hope you've heard us. And on the Caps.
And there's still time.